Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our latest and greatest episode of Edu Steps, powered by Laddering Your Success. As always, I'm your good friend and host, Olay, Shorunke, here with my good friend and your founder of Laddering Your Success, Festus Amoye. Festus, how you doing today, brother?
Excellent. I'll be even better once I get a nap.
This is very true. Naps are quintessential. All right, folks. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Folks, you're about to sign up for college. I want you to think about this, right? You're about to sign up for college. You got that diploma. You're ready to go. Some of y'all got an associate's degree while you're in high school. Amazing. You think you're ready. Then you see the word loan. What does that really mean? Not just now, but what does that mean years later? Well, we're going to delve into that a little bit today. Today, we're going to break this down. The truth about student loans, what you need to know before you sign, and what you should know before you sign any student loan paperwork. All right? So we're going to talk about we know do stand for, right? You want to be the, you need to know, the know, and what you must do, the do portion, so you move from potential to prosperity. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on in. I think we had one of our guys join in. Is that D Hill with us today?
What's up, man? What's good with y'all?
What's going on? To him, D's one and only. Thank you so much for joining us as always, brother.
Glad to be here.
How's everything going, D Hill? Everything going all right?
What's good, man? Just chilling. You know, resting up like always. How y'all boys doing?
Man, we're here. We made it to October 2025. We're blessed, man.
All right, what you said.
Love it. So let's start. Let's talk about mindset, values, and character before you start borrowing this money. Emphasis on the word borrow, okay? Before you borrow, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I about to take this loan? Why am I about to take this or borrow this money? What kind of graduate do I want to be? What kind of borrower do I want to stay as? Remember, when you borrow money, when you take out a student loan, this is not a neutral situation, right? You're making a promissory note to pay this money back. Align that with your character. Are you responsible? Do you have integrity? Do you show commitment? Think about the LYS core values. Commitment, this is you committing to repay this loan. Wisdom, what do you know? What do you learn before you go out and you borrow? Compassion, think about not just yourself, but your future family, right? Think about not just yourself, but who you're going to be in the future, right? And so in that same vein, I want us to go over this question. I got a question for the squad. All right, I want you to think about a recent college grad squad who's living with the loan that he or she signed. So what do you wish this person knew before they borrowed? Or what are some things this college graduate or any college graduate should know before they go out and take this loan on borrow?
Man, to me, I wish that they knew that they, number one, could have gotten a similar education for far less money. I wish they would have known that. The next part is I wish they would know that just because they owe debt, student loan debt, doesn't mean the end of the world. That they can pay it back, but they got to be diligent going forward.
Very, very powerful. I think, man, that point right there about knowing that you could get that same education for much less is super key. D Hill, I know one of our first real success stories was your niece, Amaya, and that was it, right? I love telling people the story about the fact that she was really interested. She really wanted to go to the University of Alabama to study nursing. And I still remember Festus pulling up that website and taking a look and saying, oh, you want to go? Cool. No, it's awesome. It's great. Let's be realistic with how much you're going to pay for this education, right? And we were able to turn that from, oh, that's how much I'm really paying, to you get a lot of breaks in regards to what you're paying if you stay in state. And because of some opportunities with her father, she was able to get a really, not pay as much, right? Pay a huge amount less than what she could have if she went to the University of Alabama. Now, I think in about 2 months, she's about to graduate in Hill. So you want to go talk a little bit about that and that journey?
Oh yeah, she was adamant for longer. She went down the trip and everything and then Festus pulled up that $200,000 for years. She's like, oh no. She said, I am not gonna be in a generational debt. I think that's what she said. Was that what it is, Festus? She said?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. She said, I'm not gonna do that. There's no point. She's like, I'm not gonna be owing money till I die. So yeah, that helped to save money. Then she came on with y'all and y'all showed her how to search for local scholarships, and got a local scholarship, which paid for a part of the missing part of her loans or something, or her tuition. So she got that, and now she's about to graduate. And I think she only owes like a little bit of debt, or she might be debt free. I don't really know exactly right now, but yeah, in December she coming out. I got to fly down there on the 12th, man. So yeah, it was a good journey, man. I'm glad y'all helped out, bro.
Wow,
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So in that same vein, I also want us, I got a quick little activity for the students out there. I want you to just get a sheet of paper or think about it in your mind, text it in your phone. I want you to write down 3 words you want people to say about you when you graduate. 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, right? Now ask yourself, will signing this loan help or hurt that story? Will signing that loan help or hurt that person you want to be 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road? Okay. Now that we've set our character compass, let's dig into what you need to know, the nitty-gritty, right? Because that know is going to lead into your action, right? The do portion. So let's talk about facts. Let's talk about data. Let's talk about what to know in regards to the student loans in 2025. Here's the current landscape. Interest rates, they're real. FAFSA updates, policy shifts, everything you should understand so you're not surprised later, right? So let's take some of this information. We're going to try and make it as easy to take in as possible, right?
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. You know, if there's one thing I love, it's something free. I'm talking free 99, un gratis. No shipping or handling fees, no gotcha fees, nothing like that. With that being said, if you're graduating soon or thinking about college or need a nudge or help to decide, then our free ebook, 10 Things to Think About Before Going to College, has a very balanced and open-minded way of presenting your next steps. It captures broad topics in a personal way by giving students an insightful, interactive, and reflective source of inspiration. It is very beneficial to be able to visualize some of the concepts after high school and apply them directly to you. We all know life, college, and career planning decision-making choices for students can be challenging, especially as they near the completion of high school. This book will provide you with a self-paced guide to your success beyond academics and into real life. Not only is it free, you can complete this book within a week. This will definitely prepare you for long-term success. To get your free copy, simply go to lys.com/students. I mentioned it was free, right? Well, if I didn't, it's free. Like, for real, for real. Okay, back to the podcast.
So federal student loan interest rates for new loans, these are things that are happening. You got changes in regards to subsidized and unsubsidized student loans, right? I don't want to go too deep into that, but just understand that you got to know the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized. I'm gonna let Festus go into that. So the reason why things like these interest rates matter is that those rates are set as long as you have that loan. So what you sign today, when you sign for that student loan, is going to matter for decades or however long you have that student loan. Now, one of the important things to remember is the FAFSA. Now, although we're talking about student loans fall under paying for college, right? So you've got grants, you've got free financial aid, you've got scholarships, you've got student loans, you've got merit-based. You have several different ways or opportunities for paying for school. FAFSA is the #1 most important thing you must do if you plan on going to any sort of post-high school, technical school, college, university, trade school, anything like that. So remember, we talked about this earlier in the year or last year. It's a shorter form. The calculation that they use to determine how much you're going to get is going to be a little different. They used to use this thing called the EFC, Estimated Family Contribution. Now they use something called the SAI, which is the Student Aid Index. It's a little different, okay? So there's a couple other changes and things that are happening. One of the things, or one of the most important things I want you to be aware of, private loans. Remember, private loans don't have a lot of those federal protections. They're private, so they can create their own stipulation. They can create their own rules and guidelines that you have to follow if you're going to take that money, right? A lot of times you may borrow more than what you actually or realistically than what you'll repay, right? So make sure you pay attention to those things. I know it's very easy. You may be like me. When I got it, I just said, what? How much? Just give me the money. Give me the money. It's like, it's not your money. You're borrowing this money. So you gotta be really aware of these things. So Festus, did you have anything you wanted to drop before I posed my question that I have for y'all?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, question for the squad: what resources are out there to help students understand what they're getting into before they sign for these loans? Okay. And it's a two-part, and I'll put it in for it so everyone can see it. What resources are out there to help students understand what they're getting into before they sign for those loans? And what's the number one thing you wish every student understood before they signed for their student loan?
Hill, you want to go first?
Yeah, I just start off. There's y'all. Y'all the main people that come to. A lot of people don't teach people stuff like this. I think Crawford used to always talk about that. Nobody told him, but knowing the difference between the two different type of loans, the one that starts the interest immediately and the one starts when you graduate. Just this basic, man, like that you gotta pay that loan back. Like I thought a video with this girl, she was using a credit card. She paid for the credit card. No, she paid for the item on the credit card, and then was wondering why she still had a bill come. She said, no, but I paid with the credit card. She said, yes, baby, but the credit card is just is credit. It's not really real much. She's like, no, but I paid. Like, just understanding how money works. Because I don't think a lot of these kids think money works, or how, like, knowing that, okay, if you're going to take out this loan, is this loan going to be able to be feasible with the job you getting? Like, you getting an art degree, but you taking out a $200,000 loan. Bro, that's not gonna take care of it. Or you're gonna be a teacher and you want a $200,000 loan. That's not gonna happen. So just the basics.
Don't do it. Reconsider. Read some literature on the subject.
On the subject. he hit it with the hey, what's it called it? But anyway, no, I love what you said, and I agree. I think we're having these conversations. We've been having these conversations for years. But I think the thing that we don't talk enough about is the fact that somebody benefits when somebody's in student loan debt.
Hello.
Somebody benefits. And so this is why they don't want these conversations to be had. This is why they make it difficult for organizations like ours to get into schools, and even counselors are unaware of these things. Because if people are having that conversation and saying, listen, why go this way instead, and you don't get those student loans, a lot of times it doesn't line somebody's pockets. And so we're interested in lining your pockets so that you could, create generational wealth for yourself, for your family, for your community. Why should somebody sitting in Wall Street, why should somebody sitting in London or somewhere else who's able to purchase this student loan debt, right? Because it's debt, and debt can be purchased. Why can it be purchased? Because it's purchased over the interest rate. And so when they're purchasing that debt, they're saying, Jimmy went to school 10 years ago. Jimmy's going to keep paying for my child's education, my child's yacht, my champagne habit, whatever. And so the thing is, we got to be very, very cognizant. Otherwise, we're going to fall into the trap. And so I agree with what you said, D Hill. Is great to be able to be a resource, but I also think it's one of those things where people have to amplify the conversations amongst themselves. Don't spread ignorance, spread awareness. So if we're, signing up for school amongst our friends, what kind of conversations are we having? Are we just having that conversation of like, yo, oh, you going over here? Cool. I heard they got a good football team. Oh, I heard they had the best parties. Or are we sitting down looking at the student loan debt potential and saying, you know what, I'm gonna go to the community college for 2 years because that's gonna save me X amount. Hey, I'm gonna take college credit while I'm in high school, so that it's gonna save me 2 years when I get out of here. What kind of conversations are we having? So more specifically, to the question that you asked about what resources are available and what students should understand. Number one, understand the pathway of education to get to the career that you're trying to go to. Understand the pathway of education to get to the career you're trying to go to. And I think that's what Daniel was touching on. If you don't need a 4-year degree for that particular job, or if you can take other avenues, like for example, there are colleges, I believe Harvard is one, University of the People is another one. There are online universities that are either free or very low cost. And if you're able to partner with a university like that, transfer in some credit and graduate with less debt, that will be the optimal thing to do. I'm not telling anybody don't take any debt whatsoever. That's not what I'm advocating to people. But what I am advocating to people is to be very intelligent, to think through why you're taking the debt you're taking, right? And again, how does that, that job that you're getting in the end, how's that paying in relation to this debt? So if that job is not sustainable, if you're not Vincent Van Gogh, you know what I'm saying? You studying underwater basket weaving is not gonna help your future. And no, don't nobody owe you nothing. Just be honest about it. Nobody owes you nothing because you're ignorant. Ignorance is not bliss. I'll stop there.
Well, and I'm going to give you a little pushback. You have not seen the baskets I've been able to create, Festus. I mean, once in a lifetime, the most amazing baskets, right? And so before don't knock it till you tried it with this underwater basket. I've got some serious talent here, man.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
So let me say this on that note. Shout out to Harlem. We just went to Harlem, and I set a bar that I didn't even know. I said, pat on the back. So the bar I said was, knowledge is what's in a book. Skill is what you can do with what you learn from the book. Knowledge in a book. Skills what you can do with what you learned in a book. And could you have booked a flight, went down to the Amazon rainforest where the real basket weavers are, you know what I'm saying, and studied under them for 3 months and came back, you know what I'm saying, and started your basket weaving versus paying somebody $200,000 a year. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't weave the basket. Weave the basket, but I'm just saying, why are you doing what you're doing? That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's beautiful. To your point, Festus, I'm a hot take, it's not even a hot take. I think it's a common sense take. If you're not willing to do the hard work and take a look at these options out here before you go out and get a degree or you go out and you sign for these student loans, if you're not responsible, you just got to be honest with yourself. If you're not responsible to go out and know the information, at least have a baseline understanding of these interest rates and how much you're getting and how much you're going to have to repay, you probably shouldn't be entering college at that level. You probably need to take a year and go to a community college, trade school. You need to be doing something else. Just because think about what we said from the beginning. If you don't have those values and those principles and those characteristics yet, and you're talking about making a 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, $140,000 decision at your small age, you probably shouldn't be entertaining that right now. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. You have to think, you have to have compassion for your future self. Can your future self, will you be able to handle that? That is how much, when we were in high school, people were paying for houses, right? And to that point, I want you to think of your student loan as a monthly subscription that you're going to be paying for years. So what your monthly payment is today is what you're promising into the future, right? Quick question for all the young people that are thinking about this right now. Do you know your school's average debt at graduation? Do you know the average starting salary of graduates? If not, take a quick second, go pause and find out. Find out what the average debt at graduation is and find the average starting salary of people who graduate from your school in your degree. And then just take a look at those two things and say, oh, the average debt at graduation is, I don't know, let's say $80,000. And let's say the average starting salary of someone in your field is $80,000. What does that mean? Okay, start to break those things down. All right, so now that you know the facts, let's move to the most important part, what you're going to do with this information, right? So let's talk about the do. Let's talk about what students and parents can do before signing for these student loans. So this is your checklist. This is your playbook. First things first, fill out the FAFSA early. Even if you think you won't qualify, fill it out. It opens doors, right? It's important to get that thing filled out early, right? That whole saying of the early bird catches the worm, trust me, the early bird will catch all of the worms. Borrow only what you need. Calculate the total cost of attendance. Take a look at grants, scholarships, work studies, savings. Take a look at all of those things. Only borrow what you need. Make sure you understand those repayment terms. Understand fixed rate. Understand the payment terms, income-driven plans, forgiveness options. If there's a field that's very similar to what you want to do, if there's opportunities for working for the government, teaching, forgiveness options are huge, especially if you can plan this out when you're young. Taking the first 5 years of gaining experience in your field, working in a different area, and then having those loans forgiven is huge. You're gaining experience, and by the time you're done with that period, you'll have those loans forgiven. So take a look at those things. Make sure you understand the different loan types, federal versus private. Federal has a lot of protections. Usually private loans are a tad bit more risky. Make sure you create a repayment plan. Think about how much you're going to be paying monthly based off of how much you're going to be making or your expected salary. Set a realistic budget. Okay, keep track of your loan, keep track of your servicer, due dates, so you don't get hit with any surprises. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. When I got out of school and I got my degree, I didn't go necessarily into the real world. I was working I had an internship. The internship was paying minimum wage. It had a lot of great benefits, but it was minimum wage. I'll never forget, I was walking down the tunnel. I was working for the Houston Texans. I was walking down the tunnel in my car. I got a call, very nice lady. She said, hello, my name is such and such with Sally Mae. I said, hey, how you doing, such and such from Sally Mae? how was your day? Oh, my day is great. I'm interning with the Texans right now. She was like, oh, that's awesome, man. I love it. I'm so happy. Congratulations on getting started out there in the field. Just wanted to let you know that you were actually a couple months behind on your loan. It's been 6 months since you've been out of school, and now you got to start paying back on that $20,000. I said, oh, well, 20, but definitely. All of a sudden, my tongue got very heavy. I forgot how to speak. I wasn't aware. So make sure you're aware of these things. All right. So let's bring it on home. I'm going to open it up, Festus. If you have anything you want to drop in, I know I kind of put a lot of information out there. In regards to the do, what can students and parents do to be prepared for student loans as they're transitioning from high school to post-high school, secondary options?
Number one thing is plan. Okay? Plan. So when it comes down to planning, right? When you're planning for anything, the first thing you need to do is create an objective, meaning what is it that we're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to accomplish going to school, or are you trying to accomplish graduating? See, that's two different mindsets. If you're just trying to accomplish going to school, then you could do that and be out the next day. You could go and then be out with the what do we call it, withdrawal period or whatever. But if you're trying to graduate, there's a different mindset there. You're planning for 4 years, you're planning for 6 years, you're planning for 10 years, depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to go to medical school, you have to have like a 10-year plan, 8 to 10 years, depending on specialties, all those different types of things. If you're trying to go, if you're saying, hey, look, I just want to be in there and get out. Hey, cool. Well, maybe you're trying to get a certificate. So, for example, there's a lot of people who go into counseling, and it's like, well, I didn't know I had to do 3,000 hours of supervised visits or 8,000 hours of supervised. Well, you could have got a licensed chemical dependency counselor and worked at behavioral health, given chemical dependency counseling. So there's other different kind of avenues you could check in on based off of whatever it is you want to do. And so part of that plan is finding the resource of people, right? So that means, do I have a cousin that works in this field? Do I have an auntie that works in this field? Do I have a neighbor that works in this field? So that I could ask some questions. Can I reach out to somebody on LinkedIn? Can I go to a networking event? There's a lot of organizations, a lot of professional organizations, and I have to say that separately. A professional organization is different than just a student organization. A professional organization is usually after people have graduated and they're working professionally. And that might be a regional organization. So it might be like the Houston Psychology and Counseling Association versus the University of Houston student organization. There's two different organizations. Go to the professional organization, the people who are seasoned. They've been in the career 10, 15 years. Talk to them about what's going on in that field, where it's going. And a lot of times they could tell you, hey, this is where the scholarships are. This is where the job opportunities are. This is what I wish I did differently, right? So that's all part of planning. Now, what is your process? So a process is something that is cyclical. I could do again and again and again and again to make sure that the plan is working, right? So that means every semester I'm either checking in on my dream board or my book or something like that, right? My process book. I'm checking, I'm using the LYS as a guidebook and I'm checking in there regularly. There's different types of things that you can do to help keep that process going over and over again. And then lastly, it's execute with excellence. This is the doing part. You need to execute that plan. Okay. That means don't let going to parties get in the way. That means don't let, Shaquanda said, whoop-de-woo, get in the way, right? You need to say, hey, look, this is my plan. And unless it's enhancing or making my plan better, I'm going to stay consistent with what I'm doing. So that's it. That's all I got to share. Thanks so much.
Man, thank you. That is definitely powerful. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong following that. You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong at all.
I love that little hand clap.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to drop in? Things for families, students, and parents to be prepared as they join or as they transition into post-high school, college, trade school, all those things in regards to student loans.
I don't think nobody got anything else to say after Festus said that, bro. How the kids you say period, daggum. It's a done dollar.
I like it. Period. There you go. Absolutely. So for my students, whenever you can, open up your phone or your laptop, search your college name and average student debt. If you're not sure, just type average student debt in your state or in the country and starting salaries for things that you're interested in doing. Write that number down. Now imagine paying that for 10 plus years. How will that impact your life? That's the power of informing yourself early on. That's the power of planning, as Festus said. So remember, this is based off of our be, no, do. Be, no, do. You are the person you became when you committed to this. You gained the facts, so now you know, and now you're executing. All right, now let's bring it home again. B, who do you want to be as a borrower and a graduate? Know what's one fact that you'll carry with you and use when you're making these decisions. And do, what's the first thing you'll do this week? Complete the FAFSA. Check loan rates. Meet with your counselor. Take a look. Those are those action items that you can do following that be, no, do. Okay? So remember, folks, you're not just signing a loan. You're charting a course for your future. Do it intentionally. Borrow smartly. Live aligned with your success story. Okay? So, folks, that has been another episode of Edu Steps powered by Laddering Your Success. Remember, we're talking about student loan debt, student loans, not having too much student loan debt, what to know before you sign off on those student loans. All right. As always, I want to thank Daniel Hill for joining us. Thank Festus for just starting this platform and creating this opportunity for us to impact the world. For everyone who's listening, for all of our folks here today, my name is Olay Shorunke. Festus, my good sir, please go ahead and finish us off with the phrase that pays it all.
So listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no excuse for not getting an education. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, go ahead and hit the share button. If you like what you heard, go and smash the like button. And if you're like, man, these guys are dope, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can get a reminder on the next episode. And we'll see you then.